My fiancée and her first love had a car accident, all because of enemies of her family. We both needed blood transfusions immediately, but there was only enough plasma to save one of us. She chose to save me first. Her first love didn't make it and passed away after surgery. Our wedding went as planned, but she kept a picture of him at home. Every day she made sure I saw it, telling me my life was because of him. On the anniversary of his death, I lost it. If you love him that much, why didn't you just die with him? I never expected she had already doused the house in gasoline. She pulled me into the flames, saying, I promised him fireworks in 3 years. Time for you to pay for him. Living again, I found myself back on a stretcher next to her first love. Weekly, I told them to save her first. Hurry, both patients need blood transfusions urgently. Notify the blood bank. Cold all over, I lay on the stretcher as the medical staff pushed me toward the emergency room. Doctor, O-type plasma is limited, only enough for one life, they said. The doctor assessed Harry and me, deciding to consult with our families. The ER doors opened, and Jesse rushed over anxiously. Family member, both patients are critical, but we only have enough plasma for one. You'll need to decide who gets it first. Through the swinging ER doors, I dimly saw Jessie standing outside. She bowed her head in pain, thought for a moment, then reluctantly replied, Save Alex first. The doctor nodded and reassured, Okay, we've already requested more blood from nearby hospitals, so don't worry. They quickly made their way to my bedside, preparing me for surgery. Despite the pain and shock of being alive again, I grabbed the doctor's sleeve. Please save Harry first. The doctor frowned. Alex, you need surgery immediately. Your injuries are severe. Shaking my head weakly, I insisted I'll be all right. He hit his head pretty bad. I think he's worse off. Reluctantly, the doctor ordered the nurse, get him a CT scan, check for brain bleeding. In the past, they discovered Harry's brain bleed too late. The delay led to his death on the operating table. Jessie blamed me for everything. She married me, but every day it was like living in his shadow. We were in the car accident because of her family's enemies. She made the decision to save me, but then blamed me when he died. I couldn't take her obsession anymore and snapped on Harry's death anniversary. If you love him so much, why didn't you die with him? She laughed horribly at that, saying, I promised fireworks in 3 years. Let's pay for it together. I never guessed she prepared to take it all down in flames, dragging me with her. The flames overwhelmed me quickly, scattering my consciousness as I bled out. I dragged out my phone with trembling hands, dialing a number I hadn't called before. I'm at Central City Hospital, help me. Unsure if the person still had the same number, I gambled everything on this last try. I faintly heard, wait for me, but the phone slipped from my hand as I finally blacked out. The beeping of monitors pulled me back. Slowly, I opened my eyes. The pain was excruciating. Are you okay? Calm yet urgent voice asked, worried. Can I get some water? I croaked out. Doctor said no water yet since you just had surgery. I'll dampen your lips with a swab, my rescuer said. I drank up the moisture, eyeing the face above, serious yet surprisingly tender. Thanks for saving me. We're even now. But back then, I just hid her when enemies were after her. She called me her savior, insisted on swapping numbers, pledging I'd reach her first if needed. Her simple, even now words had changed my life completely. No longer did I need Harry's blood transfusion, or be indebted to Jessie or Harry. Thank you, Nancy, I sincerely said. Nancy looked baffled, then shyly turned away. No big deal. Just then, the door flew open. Sis, need more guys to donate blood? A newcomer asked. Startled, I watched Nancy get flustered, her voice rising to cover the truth. Who let you in? Telling strangers to donate. Get out. Don't disturb the patient. Her henchman retreated, his plan for praise foiled, leaving me chuckling despite the pain. What's wrong? Nancy exclaimed worriedly. Just my wound, no worries, I reassured her. I'll get the doctor. She took off like a bolt before I could stop her. After a thorough check, the doctor nodded approvingly. You're healing well, thanks to the timely blood donations from your friends. I glanced at Nancy, who avoided my eyes. Doctor, what about the guy who came in with me? He was serious, but your insistence on that scan was crucial. Surgery was successful, and he'll move to a regular room soon, the doctor explained. Relieved Harry was safe, I relaxed. Though Jesse has been by his ICU nonstop, the doctor mentioned. I scoffed. None of my business. Our family's arranged marriage was common knowledge. Nancy snorted. Forget Jesse, your parents haven't shown at all. Dodging conflict, the doctor hurried to leave. It's best to steer clear when entangled with two powerful families and a local gang leader's secret. Nancy mentioning my parents left me emotionless. To them, my birth was a bargaining chip for strategic unions. Jesse's changed attitude proved I meant nothing. Our show of a marriage held zero value. Why waste time visiting? Out of sight, out of mind. With regular meds and rest, I recovered quickly. Just when I prepped to apply for early discharge, Jesse appeared after days of absence, exhausted from worrying over Harry. Alex, feeling better? Jessie came over with what she thought was a caring look and a raspy voice to offer me her belated concern. Thanks for checking in. If you'd come 2 days later, I would have already been discharged. Jessie's face froze a bit, probably not used to my change in attitude. Harry doesn't have any family here, and I was worried if I didn't keep an eye on him. If anything happened to him, how could I explain it to his folks? I gave a nod of understanding. No need to explain to me, Miss Jessie. Your feelings for Harry are none of my business. You're mad at me. I told the doctor to save you first. I'm not mad, and I was the one who told the doctor to save him first. Jessie looked touched. Alex, you're so considerate. You truly are a great husband. Don't worry, the wedding will go on as planned, and I'll treat you well. She reached to hold my hand, but I quickly tucked myself under the covers, as if afraid to touch something dirty. If you really want to thank me for saving Harry, why not grant me a wish? Seeing my suggestion, Jessie's eyes lit up. Do you have any requests for the wedding? Just say it and I'll fulfill it. I want to call off the engagement. Jessie was still immersed in planning our wedding, completely blindsided by my words. She stared at me in shock and then gave a cold laugh. Is this whole thing some kind of reverse psychology? Nearly choked by her words, I held back from using some choice language by sheer will. Even if you don't understand speech, you should be able to grasp my literal meaning. It's just 6 words. Jessie continued as if not hearing me. I admit I neglected you because Harry returned to the country. But you need to understand, after all these years of feelings, I had to look after him. I chose to fulfill my duty as your fiancé and save you first. You gave that up yourself, so why blame me now? I'm not blaming you. I just want to break off the engagement. Jessie, in a typical disregard for my words, replied, I've told you so many times, Harry and I are innocent. Why don't you believe me? Talking to her is like talking to a brick wall. After a thorough checkup and repeatedly promising to rest at home, I finally got discharged. Nancy insisted on picking me up. Figuring I'd need her help later, I agreed. Walking into my house, I was met with my mom and a group of wealthy ladies having an afternoon tea party, all shining with jewels, exchanging fake pleasantries. My mom grumbled, Why didn't you let us know you were coming back? I could have sent a driver for you. Such pointless words were beneath a response, so I just headed to my room to pack. Look at him, always acting like the world owes him. If his dad and brothers weren't working hard outside, would he have such a good life? I stood quietly on the stairs, listening to my mom's repeated complaints about me. The words were the same as always. She doesn't tire of saying them, but I'm tired of hearing. In their eyes, providing me a wealthy life means I should be endlessly grateful. They offer only financial support, never a hint of care. From a young age, they only act like a loving family if it involves protecting their interests. The only comfort I had was their decision for me to marry Jessie, letting me be with someone I liked. Now even that comfort seems like a sign I was blind back then. Gathered my documents and bank cards, planned to go to the bank to withdraw money, and found Nancy still around. Mind being my chauffeur for a day? Gotta hit a few banks. Nancy held back laughter. Running off with the cash and eloping with me? Running off, maybe, But eloping? No way. Your family's big and complex, I wouldn't dare. Her family's a big shot locally, with as many enemies as they have underlings. Partnering with her means constant fear. Now, I just want a peaceful life. You're planning to run away? Not marrying Jesse? I nodded. Suddenly clear-headed, dreaming of a quiet life in the countryside. Nancy laughed heartily. Good you snapped out in time. She's not right for you. Where do you want to go? I'll help. Though she almost cried with laughter, I noticed a hint of reluctance in her eyes. Gazing at the road ahead and the distant mountains, I quietly said, I'd like to go to New Zealand, determined to get away from it all. With just a few clothes, documents, and cash, I set off. Nancy, I know you guys can hide someone. Can you help me? Nancy smiled confidently. You came to the right person. Sam, take care of this. Peeking at Sam, wasn't he the one who failed a minor mission before? Rest assured, I'll handle it. A week later, I was in New Zealand, now going by William. Hoping the rest of my life is filled with joy. Rented a long-term room at a place with a sunrise view. Every day, I stroll the vast plains, soak in hot springs under the starry sky. Life like this, I never imagined in 2 lifetimes. The inn is run by a middle-aged couple, Mark and Susan, and a young man, Lucas, as driver and security. This simple setup keeps the place running smoothly. During peak seasons, they're flat-out busy. Hi, we'd like a room. Reading by the bar, a couple walked in with luggage. The 3 weren't around. Thanks to Susan's foresight in explaining check-in procedures, I mustered up to handle it. Afterward, the girl handed me an apple. Thanks. Awkwardly, I took it. Thank you, but I'm just a long-term guest. The girl chuckled sweetly. That's even better. Thanks to our handsome neighbor. Susan appeared, teasing, would this long-term guest be interested in some part-time work for discounted room rates? First steps are always tough, but I embraced this new world. Went from reading alone, solitary walks, hot springs, stargazing, to chatting with fellow guests, helping around the inn, even city trips. Fully absorbed in the local life. Mark built a simple bonfire, inviting everyone to join. Lucas, feeling spirited, picked up a guitar, playing and singing in the center. The mesmerizing voice and skilled guitar playing had travelers pulling out their phones to capture the moment. Standing on the outskirts, I couldn't resist setting up my easel to paint the joyful scene. Susan, standing behind me, couldn't help but exclaim, "Wow, your painting is amazing." Her reaction got the attention of those around us. Curious onlookers gathered. Soon enough, the bonfire night turned into a painting showcase and impromptu art session. The couple I was hosting that day was the first to ask if I could sketch a portrait of them, and I agreed without hesitation. Soon, other guests joined in the request lineup, keeping me busy all night. I used up years' worth of drawing requests. The last sketch I did was of Lucas singing and playing the guitar, which I gifted to him. You sing so well, you should go out into the world and not waste that talent. Lucas, his face red, accepted it, his eyes glimmering in the firelight. Since then, besides working part-time at the inn, I've taken on a side hustle setting up a stand to paint in town. Hi, can you paint me? A gentle voice asked. I warmly welcomed my first customer of the day. Of course, please have a seat. Setting up the easel, I grabbed a brush and started sketching, but my hand froze mid-air. Looking across, I saw Harry smiling gently. Annoyed, I tossed the brush back into the bag. What are you doing here? How about we find a place to chat? I pursed my lips, eyeing him impatiently. You've been gone for a year. Jesse really missed you. I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Is your life so dull you needed me for your fun? Harry held his warm coffee, the steam rising as he sighed. When you disappeared, Jessie felt it was her neglect and my return that drove you away. She searched everywhere for over 6 months, almost losing her inheritance. She eventually had to give up, but took her anger out on Nancy, subtly using her family's power against them. My hands clenched into fists, my jaw tense, silently cursing Jessie countless times. I questioned Harry. Did you come all this way to tell me how fondly she thinks of me? I figured with my departure you'd be the happiest, but I didn't expect you'd be the first to find me. Harry smirked. At first, I was pleased. But then Jessie vowed as the heir she'd find you and marry you. Seeing her obsession, I realized even with you gone, I can't replace you. In my past life, losing Harry made me think she loved him dearly, marrying me under pressure to save me. But now Jessie's actions show she clings to whoever is absent. What a wreck. I gritted my teeth and spat out. Such a mess. Seeing you're alone, does that mean you're not planning to tell Jessie where I am? Harry crossed his arms, glaring at me. I came to see if you're playing hard to get or actually leaving Jessie. I scoffed. You're really pathetic. He sneered. Someone as cold-hearted as you wouldn't understand my feelings for Jessie. Huh? Not interested in your love story, having business to attend to. I'll be on my way. My mind unsettled by Harry, I couldn't resist checking the news on my phone. Jessie's company had been thriving, suppressing competitors. A notification popped up. Nancy's in trouble. Shocked, my hand trembled, dropping my phone to the ground. Lucas, passing by, picked it up and handed it back, worriedly asking, "Is everything okay?" Forcing a smile, I said, "It's nothing, but I might need to leave for a bit." Quickly saying goodbye to Mark and Susan, Lucas drove me to the airport, saying, "If you need anything, just say the word." I hugged my big-hearted little brother. "Thank you, I will." Exiting the airport, I was surprised to find Jessie, not Sam, waiting for me. "Alex, they told me you were on this flight. I couldn't believe it." Jessie rushed up, trying to take my hand, but I quickly withdrew, nearly pulling it into my coat. "Jessie, please keep your distance." Jessie's awkwardness gave me room to drag my suitcase past her to hail a cab. She followed, pleading, "You've been gone a year, your parents are worried. Come home with me, please?" Not stopping, she grabbed my arm, forcing me to halt. "Returning home is my choice, not yours. Let go." Jessie's face was stormy. She warned, "Our engagement isn't broken yet. You're still my fiancé. I have a right to intervene. Come with me. Let go." Sam charged over with backup, fiercely pointing at Jessie's forehead. Their anger nearly set ablaze. Outnumbered, Jessie reluctantly released me. Sam took my luggage, leading me to the parking lot. "Alex, this time, I'm not letting you go." Afraid I'd turn to kick her, I hurried Sam away. "What happened to Nancy?" Sam snorted. "It's all Jessie's fault. She had Nancy followed, then leaked her location to our enemies, ambushing Nancy." Stunned, I stared at Sam, shaking as guilt and fear overwhelmed me. Sam couldn't afford delay, urgently urging, "We need to go. Nancy might not hold on." The weight of my mistakes tugged at me as I raced to the car. Running to the hospital non-stop, I hesitated outside the room, unable to turn the knob. Seeing this, Sam sighed, opening the door. Nancy lay on the bed, deathly pale, with only the beeping of machines filling the quiet room. Every step toward him felt heavy. "Nancy, it's Alex. I'm back." Silence was my only answer. "I'm sorry. It's my fault you're here." I couldn't hold back my emotions any longer and broke down, crying on the bed. Then someone gently patted my head, slow and tender. "Even asleep, you managed to wake me up." I looked up, shocked, staring at the person teasing me. "Weren't you seriously hurt, in a coma? Who told you that?" "Sam." Her playful smile told me I'd been pranked. I yelled towards the door, "Sam, get in here." Sam peeked in. "You called? I have to pack you dinner first." He shut the door with a bang after using that excuse. I couldn't help but laugh at his quick getaway, then turned back to tease Nancy. "You guys teamed up, didn't you?" Nancy looked innocent. "I swear, I had no idea." I rolled my eyes and playfully tapped her shoulder. I barely touched her, yet her face went white with pain, beads of sweat forming on her forehead. "Where are you hurt? How are you in so much pain?" From a light touch. Lifting the blanket, I saw a corner of a bandage near her collarbone, with blood seeping through on her shoulder. "Did Jessie send someone?" Nancy nodded sharply, her expression fierce. I bit my lip angrily, fists clenching so hard my nails dug into my palms. She gently held my hand. "I think it's a blessing in disguise, getting to see you rush back to care for me." I glared at her playfully. "So what's your plan?" Heal up and then get revenge? Nancy shook her head. This time, it's your turn to help me. I smiled, nodding with resolve. Leave it to me. Once preparations were ready, Sam sent out the news. In less than an hour, businesswoman Nancy from City A has passed away was trending. I read the message from Sam, put on a black morning outfit, and headed straight for the memorial hall. Sam stood by the door, eyes red, and respectfully led me in. A few younger guys kneeled nearby, crying and burning paper money. I held back my tears as I looked up at the black and white photo. Jesse heard I was at the memorial and showed up with those who harmed Nancy. The young guys resisted fiercely, refusing to let Jesse and the others in. The standoff lasted until the police arrived to maintain order. Jesse asked to speak with me alone, so I had Sam keep watch from nearby. Jesse, what do you want? Alex, I know I wasn't good enough before. We've had time apart to cool down. Can we move past this? She pulled out a ring around her neck, trying to put it on me. Shocked, I hid my hands behind my back and stepped away. Alex, after you left, I realized I truly love you. No one compares. I won't ever see that jerk Harry again. Just forgive me, Alex. I replied coldly, Jesse, delayed affection is worthless. We ended this a long time ago. I turned to leave and she shouted after me, Alex, if you don't want your family to go bankrupt, you'll come back to me. I replied, they're not my concern. I changed my name to William and cut ties with them. Whether they thrive or fail doesn't affect me. Back at the memorial, I caught Jessie still gazing at me with a lovesick look, making me want to slap her. The intruders left, muttering as they went. Sam stepped up, making sure things were right, then had a lawyer read Nancy's will. As per her wishes, I took over all her legal businesses, leaving the rest to Sam. With Sam's list, I reorganized the assets, deciding to start a logistics company. Armed with insights from my past life, my logistics business would cater to both high-end and mainstream markets. By offering competitive pricing, we quickly captured market share, planning next to invest in new energy low-altitude economy, combining logistics with high-tech. I discussed this idea in New Zealand with Nancy. She was completely on board. The logistics business thrived. Even if income wasn't as high as before, it was enough for a living. Better than risking life and limb, especially now in a law-governing society, sidelining was never a long-term option. Leading the team back to righteousness was always Nancy's wish. Sam became my assistant and bodyguard, splitting time between home and office, keeping me busy. Exhaustion knocked me out in the car, only to be woken by a tap on the window as we arrived. Sam got out to wave the person away. I rubbed my eyes, seeing it was my parents and two brothers outside. Sam, wait in the car for me. Alex, can't you smooth things over with Jesse and get back with him? Our company is struggling, my mom pleaded, clutching my hand. I withdrew it, saying coldly, with your skills, you shouldn't need me. Wasn't it Dad and my brothers who built everything up all these years? My mom smiled weakly at my remark, you're also my pride. Now our family needs you. I scoffed. Didn't Jesse tell you? I've legally cut ties with you. There's nothing I can do. You ungrateful brat, my mom shouted. I was right not to cherish you. You're heartless. Not worth loving. Her bitterness didn't get to me. I'd become immune to their words. Don't blame your failures on the seeds you planted. I couldn't be this calm and rational today without your efforts, I said coldly, turning to get back in the car. Just wanted a nice bath, but my phone rang. Jesse started a logistics company, pricing 2% lower than ours, drawing away clients. He's hurting himself more, I said. We barely profit as is. Being 2% cheaper means losing money. Don't worry. It won't last. Business isn't charity, and no board lets a losing venture survive for long. Despite this, our orders plummeted, with troublemakers stirring unrest among employees. Tension grew like an overinflated balloon ready to pop. Office workers just bark orders at us. They earn more for less. Nearly a dozen workers stormed into HR, upset at reduced commissions. HR explained it was due to fewer orders leading to lower pay. Jesse's plants among us took advantage, pitting office against field workers. HR, feeling justified, stood firm, intensifying the clash. Sam jumped in, separating agitators before calling me. Walking in, HR trailing behind, I spoke up, if you're unhappy, you can leave. I'll authorize proper compensation. But I won't tolerate instigators. My gaze cut through the crowd. The troublemaker met my gaze fearlessly, while the people he stirred up looked away, scared and embarrassed. A guy with a bad attitude stepped forward confidently. Boss, you've got spirit, but how could you high-up folks ever understand the struggles of us at the bottom? We're barely making it with this little salary, while office people sit in their air-conditioned rooms, earning big bucks and living large. The people behind him chimed in angrily. Exactly. How could you bosses and leaders know our hardship? The logistics company next door is booming. Their workers are swamped, and they must be making way more than us. I scoffed. Buddy, before stirring up trouble, at least understand our company's policy first. Because of our recent poor performance, all frontline employees with full attendance get a minimum pay to secure everyone's livelihood. You all should know that our base salary is much higher than that logistics company outside. And office folks have performance reviews too. If your income drops, so does theirs. You're not enemies, just in different roles. A round of sarcastic applause erupted as Harry sneered. Walking by, Alex, such presence. Didn't expect you'd make it after leaving Jesse, relying on Nancy. I rolled my eyes at him, ignoring his mockery, and kept calming the employees. Everyone here used to work hard with Nancy. I promised him I'd treat everybody well. This company is for all of you. Alex, don't act all righteous. I heard Nancy left you a fortune, yet all you're doing is giving us broth. How does that sit with you? Taking a deep breath to calm down, I sent a few texts on my phone, then turned on Harry with sharp words. What's wrong? Got dumped by Jesse and now looking for some validation? Well, you picked the wrong target. You can't stir up trouble with me. But I do hate being disgusted. You should go hide somewhere. With that, I waved my phone, showing messages between me and her lover's husband. Before wasting words on him, I'd already forwarded Harry's secrets to the husband. Frightened, Harry turned to leave, but Sam signaled, and several big guys blocked his way. He was both scared and angry, threatening to call the cops, saying we were holding him illegally. Glancing at the time, I signaled Sam to let him go. Sure enough, soon enough, the husband showed up with a squad of trained bodyguards downstairs, waiting for him. It was dramatic enough that kids needed parental guidance to see it. I had the reception save that footage, intending to replay it any time I saw Harry. Turning back to the group, I coldly warned, if you can't stick with the company through ups and downs, I'll dissolve it and enjoy life with the money. I mean it. After witnessing how I handled Harry swiftly and effectively, people were worried I'd sell off everything and leave. Those who had backed the troublemakers distanced themselves, fearing association. I turned my gaze toward them. Tell your boss not to dream of stirring up my place. This trick won't work on us. Others, realizing they'd been used, angrily turned on those few troublemakers, cursing them and driving them away. Watching them shuffle out of the company, I happily headed home. You've been working hard. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't be so worn out, with dark circles almost touching the ground. Hands massaged my shoulders, teasingly pitying my haggard look. I rolled my eyes. How can you complain when it's for you? If I weren't helping you retire, would I be this exhausted? Yes. Thanks to my hard-working boyfriend. I snapped. I never agreed to that. We've been living together for so long. Isn't it time for a title? I nodded. Right, you reminded me. I should give you a title, maybe make you the house manager, huh? Nancy's smug smile froze. She playfully turned her back, pretending to ignore me. I mischievously peeked at her. She couldn't help but laugh seeing my face. Fuming, she grabbed my waist, sitting on my lap. I should thank Jessie. If she hadn't slipped up, colluding with my enemy, I wouldn't have had the chance to fake my death and retire. I'm done with those dangerous days, almost too scared to confess my love. I rolled my eyes, like I'd accept just because you confessed. Nancy playfully admitted, yes, a confession wouldn't do it. You were moved by my sincerity and persistence, right? I laughed sarcastically, And those lousy paintings of yours? Nancy blushed, and ready to get physical because she lost the verbal spar. She tickled me until I was out of breath. Enough, stop. Alex, open the door for me. A grating knock interrupted our laughter. Hearing the voice, I grew impatient. You hide in the bedroom. I'll deal with this. I sighed, adjusted my breath, and cracked the door open. Jesse, what brings you here this late? Let me in. It's not convenient. Say what you have to at the door. Jessie slapped the door in dissatisfaction, trying to push her way in. Luckily, I had the chain on. Alex, I've kicked that scumbag Harry out for you. You'll never see him again. I even broke off with a longtime friend for your sake. Please come back to me. I scoffed. Longtime friend? Don't insult the word friend. Jessie's face faltered. Then she tried to reason. Whatever. I never agreed to break our engagement, so you're still my fiancé. Let me in and I'll explain everything. I know you still love me. I suppressed my nausea. Jessie, let me teach you a little law. There's no clear regulation on engagements in our country. Marriage is free will only. Unless I want to marry you, that so-called engagement means nothing. Understood? Fueled by alcohol, Jessie wouldn't let up. I caught a glimpse of Nancy at the bedroom door, barely holding back. Fearing she'd storm out and blow our cover, I threatened. If you don't leave, I'll call the police. Jessie scoffed. Nowadays, my power is respected both in the underworld and above. Why would I fear a few cops? I leaned into the door. Nancy seized the moment to ram the door from an angle Jessie couldn't see. The door slammed shut, nearly crushing Jessie's fingers. Covering my mouth to hold back laughter, I dialed the cops. Quietly, I warned Nancy not to come out. When the officers arrived, Jessie was in too much pain, panting on the floor. I briefly explained the situation to them, and they kindly took her to sober up and treat her hand. Inside, Nancy, having hit her limit, gave Sam a call, seething. Get it done. I might just go out and finish her off otherwise. Sam submitted Jessie's evidence overnight, even though it was incomplete. Given her actions and drunken rants at the station, claiming she killed Harry, she didn't leave the police station, detained for further questioning. Without Jessie's stubbornness, her company folded in less than a month. Police investigation confirmed Jessie's drunken truth. When Harry blackmailed her into marriage with evidence, she snapped, killing him with a wine bottle. She then sought the gang's help to dispose of his body. Her future now only holds decades behind bars. After Sam submitted evidence of their alliance and tipped off the authorities about the gang leader's hideout, their power structure collapsed. With the leader caught, subordinates fled or got arrested. This old enemy no longer posed a threat to Nancy. However, given her past life, I refused to let her come back publicly. The old Nancy would remain dead. Now, with me, she was simply William's wife, Laura. Handing the logistics company to Sam, we set off for New Zealand. Before reaching the cottage, we saw Mark and Susan waiting by the door. Calmly, I said, "How long have you been planning for today? We can finally hand the place back to you." Mark, overjoyed, gave Laura the keys, then turned to Susan. "Now it's our turn to explore the world and enjoy life." Smiling brightly, I told Susan, "Thank you for looking after me and helping resolve my troubles." Susan chuckled. "We were just doing our job. You should be thanking yourselves." Lucas stepped up bashfully. "I'm leaving too. The talent agency noticed me. I'm heading out to make a name." Proudly, I clapped his shoulder. "I believe in you. You'll shine brightly." After smoothly handing over the cottage, the five of us enjoyed a joyful welcome and farewell dinner. The next morning, Laura saw them off at sunrise, sending them to the airport. And so, this bed and breakfast became the beginning of our happy life.